All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to meditation and spiritual practice. It is in the fall. We have just made it through all of the high holy days, and we're ready to begin the Torah cycle again. And as a lot of us are familiar with, the Torah begins with creation. It doesn't begin with the particularity of the Jewish people, like the experience on Mount Sinai or any of those things that are unique, but it begins with all of creation. And the piece that I want us to offer this morning is that from a mystical perspective, the story of creation is not a linear story, meaning that the way it's told is linear. In the beginning, Breshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And then we have day one and day two and day three, and it can be read in a very literal way that there was a moment in time when all of that happened. And then in 7 days, everything in the world came as is. And that fundamentalist understanding doesn't work for most of us in a literal way, because we're present to the science of evolution and knowing that our world and humanity and all of the life on it unfolded over thousands and thousands of years. So instead, though, the mystics are aware of this, and they speak about the creation story as referring to here and now, that it is a story that's trying to describe what is our reality in the moment, from what is the creative process that is continually unfolding that we are a part of. And the Zohar makes a very radical commentary on the opening line of creation. The way that we usually read it is Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. In the beginning, God, the subject of all of it, created the heavens and the earth. But the Zohar kind of flips it and says, and reads it this way. It says, in the beginning, blank, or et Elohim, bara Elohim. In the beginning, something created God and the heavens and the earth. God's not the subject in the way the Zohar reads it, but some mysterious opening, something that cannot be spoken about or talked about or confined to a word, is what actually creates God, or creates Elohim, a particular name of God, a particular aspect of God. So in this reading, the question is what is that what is that subject that created God? And there is a lot of different interpretations that go over. The one I want to bring this morning comes from Me'or Einayim, or Rabbi Menachem of Chernobyl, 19th century Hasidic master. And he says that the word et, we usually in Hebrew grammar, the word et isn't translated literally. It's like a sign that says a direct object is coming. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. God created the heavens and the earth. But here he says, no, et created God. Et created God. What is et? Well, et, the two letters are Aleph and Tav, the beginning of the alphabet and the end of the alphabet. Et is a word to talk about Torah. Torah, the word. Torah is what created God, or created Elohim, the name of God. And this is kind of consistent with an early midrash that says when God wanted to create the world, God looked into Torah to create the world. In a sense, we think about Torah as a product of human beings, as a product of what we've written and created. It's a scroll, it lives in our ark. But really, the idea here is that no, actually within creation, Torah is the blueprint that gives rise to creation. God looked into Torah, it existed before creation to create the heavens and the earth. And here the Meor Einayim is saying, not only did God look into the Torah to create the world, but some deeper presence, reality than even Elohim that we're calling Torah, that Torah actually was what gave birth to God. Very cosmic stuff. But I think what is really relevant for us today in this teaching is that the idea is that every part of creation, even our idea or concept or experience of God, has a root and a source in something deeper. That here we're talking about Bereshit, in the beginning, which is a word that we use to talk about time. But the mystics also translate it as Bereshit, with beginning, God created the world. Be can also mean not in, but with beginning, or with Reshit. And what is Reshit? It comes from the word Rosh, as head, like the source or governing place for a human being, the Rosh, the source. With the source, creation happens. So in a sense, what it's almost saying is that everything in our world, everything in creation, has within it Torah, depth, presence, everything. And what we're usually experiencing is only the outside. But can we go to the source? Can we go to the source to have things unfold? Part of how we can also take this as human beings in a psychological way is, it makes me think about, when I think about creation, I think about a line in the Rosh Hashanah liturgy, which is Hayom Harat Olam, today, which usually gets translated as today the world is born. But Harat, the word Harat, doesn't actually mean born, it means conceived, thought of. Like in Rosh Hashanah, as we're going back to beginning, we're being asked to go to the source of thought that gives rise to creation. You know, everything that we experience in our own being has a source, has a thought. So if we're experiencing stress or fear or anxiety or joy, it's possible to get quiet and listen deeper to say, what is the source in all of that? Where does it all unfold from? And if we go into that source, we usually see that there is some, and we're not always sure whether it's the chicken and the egg, which comes first. Maybe there is some kind of primal fear that then gives rise to a thought about what we're experiencing, that then fuels another emotion or feeling or fear. Or maybe it's the thought that comes first. We have a thought, we experience the world through our sensory experience, and then we interpret it in a certain way. And that interpretation then creates our experience of the moment, whether that is joyous or fearful or anxious or any of those. But the question is, how do we go back to the source? So that's what I want to invite us in the moment, is to really be able to think that every part of our experience has a Rosh, has a Reshit, has a beginning, has a core of wisdom and realness and life force that then will branch into so much of our experience. But can we go back to see the source in it? Want to invite us to take this out of our heads and more into paying attention to our experience. So find a comfortable position that you can sit in for a period of time without moving around too much. And we'll start with a melody with a nigun and then move into the silence. Dai, 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 dai. Ai, ai, dai, dai, dai. Ai, ai, dai, dai. Ai, ai, dai, dai, dai. Yai, dai, dai, dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Ai, ai, dai, dai. Yanai, yanai, ai, ai. Ai, ai, dai, dai, dai. Anai, anai, ai, ai. Anai, ai, dai, dai. Yanai, nanai, nai, nai. Ai, ai, dai, ai, dai. Anai, anai, ai, ai. Anai, ai, dai, dai. Ai, ai, dai, dai, dai. Ai, ai, dai, dai. Ai, ai, dai, ai, ai. Ai, 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 ai. Ai, ai, dai, dai, dai. Ai, ai, dai, dai. Ai, ai, dai, ai, ai. Ai, 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 ai. Anai, anai, nai, nai. Ai, ai, nai, ai, nai, anai, anai, ai, nai. Anai, ai, nai, nai. Yanai, yanai, ai, ai. Ai, 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 anai, anai, ai, ai. Anai, ai, ai, ai. Ai, 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 ai. Ai, 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 ai. Ai, 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 ai. Ai, 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 ai. Ai, 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 ai. Ai, 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 ai. Ai, 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 ai. Ai, 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 ai. Yalai, yalai, ai, ai. Ai, 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 anai, anai, nai, nai. Yanai, nai, nai, nai. Yanai, nanai, nai, nai. Ai, 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 ai. Anai, anai, ai, ai. Anai, ai, ai. Let yourself settle in to your body, feeling the pressure of your bottom on the chair, the contact between your feet and the ground, the distance between the bottom of your spine and the top of your head, the space between your ears, the way your arms hang out of your shoulder sockets, and the resting place of your hands. See if you can be aware of the position of your body in space. Noticing where the air touches your face or your hands, present to the places of contact, the pull of gravity. And begin to notice the movement of breath, paying attention to the place where the air enters your nostrils or your mouth, the way the body gently expands to make room for the inhale. Noticing that place where the inhale reaches its maximum length, switching over to an exhale, following the air out of the body. Feeling the contraction and noticing that place where the exhale reaches its maximum length and then switches over into an inhale. Starting the cycle all over again. Just let this be your full focus and decision to be present with each movement of breath, the inhale, the exhale, the expansion and contraction of the body, feeling the whole body from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Noticing where there might be tension or contraction. Could it be in your chest, your belly, the muscles of your face? Just notice and be present without judgment of the place where you might be holding tension, contraction. And allow yourself to experience that along with the rest of your experience of this moment. The whole body breathing, the inhale, the exhale. And as you pay attention in this moment, remember that everything has a source. Everything in our moment-to-moment experience has within it Torah, a blueprint. Presence. Everything in our experience has an inside. And as you pay attention to breath and body breathing, let your attention reach to the inside of the breath, the inside of the tension and contraction, the inside of this moment. Notice how the seeking the inside, reaching for the inside with our attention requires an openness to not take what we see and experience at face value, to label it as all there is, but an openness for what is more primal, what is deeper. And be quiet for a period of time. And as we practice, we just practice being present with body, with breath, and letting our attention reach to the inside of our experience.